Rand International.
Stronger than ever.
Inflatables.
Playballs.
Pools. Ride-ons. Backyard fun.
Look for other fun products by Rand International.
Available everywhere.
Let's see, Marvel Heroes trademark at 2010 Marvel Enterprises LLC and its subsidiaries. Licensed by Marvel Characters B.V. www.marvel.com. All rights reserved.
Marvel!
Welcome, dear listener, to our podcast. Jeff and Rick present Unpacking the Power of Power Pack,
where we journey through each issue of comics that include a member of the most underrated Marvel series from the 80s while drinking beer.
Analyzing awesome and amazing, adjacent, adolescent adventures, and absorbing alcohol.
I am Jeff.
And I'm Rick.
Daddy, it's true, I'm different from you, but tell me, why do they random like this? If you turned away, what would I say? Not the first bantered by a kiss. Random banter time, buddy. Talk to me, tell me tall tales and tantalizing tidbits of trivia today.
That really is kind of creepy. I'm pretty sure it's got something to do with our book, something about Daddy, but...
It's going to be tricky. It'll be a tricky one. I can give you a hint.
I don't think I know it.
The song's name is We Exist.
Okay.
And the band's name is Arcade Fire.
Okay. I do like Arcade Fire, but I'm not enough familiar with their work, so...
Yep, I just said, We Exist. I'm like, Arcade Fire, gotta have that.
Okay, all right.
Go through the song list, and I'm like, ooh, We Exist. Like Franklin and Leech. They exist, darn it. They exist, Reed. Pay attention to your children, Reed.
No, they don't. They don't exist. They aren't smart like his other kids.
It's true.
No, other than that, I had a pretty good couple weeks, I guess. At the beginning of this 2-week time period between our two recording sessions, I went to Rose City Comic-Con, and I saw a mess of different people. Including, for our enjoyment's sake, Hilary Barta, who was not supposed to be there, but he was in town, has actually been in town for a couple weeks now, and unfortunately I haven't had a chance to see him outside of Rose City, but him and his girlfriend came, and Hero Initiative got him and his girlfriend tickets into the show. That was on Sunday. I knew he was going to be there, so I brought a stack of books for him to sign, and he was more than happy to do so. It was really wonderful to meet him in person. I was very, very happy that occurred. So I had a great time at the show overall. I had a great time talking to a lot of my favorite artists and a lot of my favorite creators. I saw Mark Russell, got him to sign a stack full of books as well. A lot of just great people there. Of course, I saw Ruth and Darren Sutherland because they're awesome. Saw some close friends of mine, Rob Earhart, Tracy, his wife, and their friends. I ran into Allison of Allison and Andy. Ran into her and her son. We saw them and just had a very pleasant time. And of course, big shout out to Colin Stapleton. And he's amazing. He's awesome. He let me crash at the Hero Initiative booth. I helped him out a couple times. I actually did a sale at the Hero Initiative booth. Woohoo! But I also was able to hang out there, drop off my stuff there. So it was just a very, very pleasant and nice time.
That is super awesome. I'm glad that you got to get a little FaceTime with Hillary. I think that's really cool. When I saw that he was coming into town, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then I saw Colin going, hey, I can get you and your other pass to the show. Come over. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, hey, Rick, combo this up. Make that happen for you. So, yeah, I've been watching Hillary's tour through Portland area doing stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I go there. And I'm like, where's he eating? Where's that place? I have never had that food. So I'm kind of like, I got to make a little list of Barta food places and check those out sometimes.
A little too comfortable sometimes. There's some great food here in Portland. There's some great places to go. Get a little too much in the rut of, well, let's go and get something to eat at a place I know I enjoy. And I don't get out and explore enough beyond that.
So many people do that, though, where it's just like you go, oh, you have this excessive scene of food and it's great. But like when I lived in Vancouver, people would go, oh, there's this great Mexican place in Portland. I'm like, or I could go 5 minutes down the street and go to a really good Mexican place. Yeah, you start going to the places that you know that you like.
You get used to it, and so you don't get to explore enough. And I need to do the same thing. I need to go and explore more, too. So that's the big thing for me, besides, work and stuff. And now that I spend a lot of money at the Comic-Con, I got to actually work and make some money.
Lame.
Yeah.
I've been watching Moon Knight.
Oh, you finally caught up with that. Cool.
Not caught up, but I'm catching into. I'm like 3-4 episodes in and enjoying it. Really like it. I could see why your family checked out pretty quick on that. But
Yeah. It wasn't quite their cup of tea. Contrarily, they have been really enjoying She-Hulk. So
yeah, She-Hulk's great too. Been totally up on that. I was like, okay, I got a little free time. I think She-Hulk will be a nice little aperitif. I can get into that, and then I'll get back in when I get a little more time on the chunker ones. So I got to get into Moon Knight. So enjoying Moon Knight, and then after that it will be Marvel Girl.
Yeah.
Or Miss Marvel.
No, you got to watch Miss Marvel. Very much watch Miss Marvel. Because Miss Marvel is all about the kids, and guess what? This comic book is also about the kids as well.
Yes, it is. Lots of kids.
Yep.
So many kids.
But before we get to that, how about you give me a 2-sentence replay of last episode?
The Fantastic Four have invited a number of gifted children to take up residence within the Baxter Building, including a quartet of evolved moloids, the mutants Artie and Leech, Alex Power of Power Pack, and a clone of the wizard who now calls himself 32. Determined to find a new way to guide humanity towards a better future, Reed has assembled these children, along with a pair of students from Old Atlantis, his genius daughter Valeria, and a now reprogrammed Dragon Man, into a forward-looking think tank named the Future Foundation. You'll notice that Franklin wasn't invited to this little party, and this leaves him feeling overlooked and left behind. 2-sentence replay is over. Why don't you give me a beer and tell us what our Power Pack pick is?
My pleasure, my friend. Jeff, you know who is in this comic book? Somebody very, very important. Very important. A character that has gravitas, that has presence.
I know where you're going. It's Impossible Man.
I'm talking about Arcade.
Ooh.
And who is Arcade? Well, Arcade is nothing but a...
Let's open a bag and find out. Shoot. He is nothing but a Moonraker, a dishonorable villain. And I screwed that up because Moonraker Brewing Company is the brewing company, while dishonorable villain, Triple India Pale Ale, is a very good way to describe that bitter, bitter little pill of a man.
Yeah.
Great looking little can that's a fiery metallic skull clown face in front of a lightning-racked dystopian nightmare fuel carnival area. That's pretty
Which is
neat.
a bit of what happens at the toy store they go to, but we're going to get into that. We'll get into that. West Coast DIPA dry hopped with stupid amounts of Strata, Enigma, Citro, Cryo, and Mosaic. Tropical and dank AF, papaya goo, yellow jelly beans, and pineapple plush berries. That's a lot of words to describe this beer.
Pineapple plush berries. I've never heard of those, but I'm excited to find out what they are. It smells real good. It smells really floral. It smells really sweet. It smells very tropically.
Those are all very true words. It's a very, very clear yellow. I mean, there's no haze in that at all.
Mine is hazy. It's very translucent. It's becoming more transparent as my bubble pour goes on.
If you look at mine, you can see my face right through my glass.
If you look at mine, you can. It's the way you like it, where you cannot see me at all. What was interesting when I opened up the can too is that it was a very bubblegum aroma, and I just saw Rick made a flaily, facey kind of face. So I'm going to assume that it is...
I am not sure what I just tasted there, but wow. Take a taste of that and let me know what you think.
It's those plush berries, I bet, because I don't know what those taste like.
Okay, one of the lines I read was tropical and dank AF. There we go. Yeah, that is the definition of dank. Oh my gosh.
Less dank, more kind of sewery. It's
wow.
Something. This is something, and it is.
This is a triple IPA, and I gotta tell you, it is very strong. This has just a mess of strong, sharp, pointy flavors. It's got a lot of hops. It is hop forward, and then they put some more hops onto that, and then they put the hops in with spikes, and then they put the spikes on fire, and then they put all that in your mouth.
This is challenging. It's not that rusted nail flavor of hops. This is... I don't know what this is.
Sharp.
I don't know if these have been...
Sharp.
Yeah.
Sharp.
Fermented hops, maybe?
Maybe.
Poorly aged hops. It's challenging in a way I'm not happy about. So
No.
Fun can, maybe not a fun can interior. We'll see as time progresses.
I'm not sure on this one either. It is... Here's the interesting thing, and bear with me on this. It is not a bad taste, but it is offensive to me. It's not like we've tasted things before that have been like a burning tire fire, and it's not that. It's not like anything burnt or it's not anything cloying. It's just sharp, and it is a distinct taste. It has flavor. It's just not enjoyable to me or to Jeff. This has got to be enjoyable to somebody. I'm not sure who, but it is a very distinct flavor.
I'm trying to find other flavors in it to describe, but it's just that dank.
Yeah.
Kind of tropically, but...
Okay.
I do not have a good descriptor for it, but I'm not making a happy face.
The can has a metallic skull that's on fire, and that is a pretty good descriptor of what I am feeling right now. That my skull is on fire. Well, Jeff, let's move on to this issue, if you will, please.
Fantastic Four, Volume 1, Issue number 580, August 2010. The Frank-tastic Four. Writer, Jonathan Hickman. Penciler, Neil Edwards. Inker, Andrew Curry. Colorist, Paul Mounts. Letterer and production, VC's Russ Wooten. Associate editor, Lauren Sankovich. Editor, Tom Brevoort. Editor-in-chief, Joe Quesada.
Featuring the Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, The Thing, and guest starring The Future Foundation, with Alex Power, Valeria Richards, 32, Artie Maddox, Dragon Man, Tong, Turg, Kor, Mick, Vil, Wu, Franklin Richards, and our guest of the issue, The Impossible Man and Arcade.
A young boy's life is filled with hopes and promises, and the heady wonderment of the opening of a new toy store.
I, personally, was at 4 separate KB toy store openings.
Pull back on the rein, you wild stallion.
In this issue, we have Franklin and Leech waiting, not so patiently, for Reed to take them to the Impossible Man's toy launch at some place called Arcade Toys.
Well, Reed should be along at any, what? Is there a problem?
Yeah, the Future Foundation.
How would that be a problem? They are a group of smart kids that solve problems.
Exactly! And they have a problem. Well, they have decided on the first problem that they are going to solve. They have informed Reed, and he is very intrigued.
Which means that Franklin and Leech are left to wait, right?
Right. That seems pretty lame. So much so that Franklin kicks in the door to the brain room. Our words, not theirs.
Let's distill the conversation between the father and the son.
Sure. Yo, Pops, you promised to do this thing.
Yes, Jimmy, or James, whatever. I did promise, but it was an except-if promise. Like, except if I have more important things to do.
Like all the time, right, Dad?
Exactly, champ. But don't worry your pretty little blonde or brown hair. I've got a replacement parental unit for you.
Mom?
No, your uncle. Go and have fun.
Great. Thanks, Dad.
And scene. Oh, his Smarty Pants younger sister waves goodbye, which is her way of waving him goodbye so that the big brains can get back to braining big.
So it's time for Uncle Johnny to be on kid duty. He may complain, but he loves this job. Franklin loves him. Johnny loves Franklin. And at the end of the day, after all the sugar and the excitement, Johnny can walk away.
Nice. Well, this day is starting out with a little rain cloud. Apparently Franklin is a little down from that cats in the cradle scene, but Johnny points out that even though Reed and Val have a lot more common than Reed and Franklin, the silver spoon is that is okay.
I need to say something here. While this is a nice little scene, and Johnny does a good job at soothing Franklin's hurt feelings, this is all happening in front of Leech.
So? Oh.
Yeah, let's have a talk about absent fathers and busy family members that still love you in front of the poor kid that has no actual parent figure since his foster mom was killed in front of him by the Marauders.
Well, he has been kind of adopted by the Richards.
Oh, goody for him. I am sure that he is going to love Reed's hands-off parenting style. Well, as Franklin and Johnny continue to ignore the world's best friend, Johnny asks the kid, or kids, what they want to get from the toy store, hinting that his action figure is pretty sweet.
The two kids' opinion that the It toys are ones associated with Spider-Man and Iron Man.
Well, duh.
Later at the new toy store.
Home of the fighting parents.
The inside of Arcade seems pretty sweet, with bins full of toys and life-size recreations of heroes. It is nearly perfect, except for a ne'er-do-well that Johnny spots and trains a fiery fist at.
Why, you would be talking about the owner of this fine establishment. It's Arcade himself, I mean, his name is on the building.
Kinda hiding out in the open, ain't he?
Arcade, for the uninitiated, is a longtime villain, mostly focusing on the X-Men, but willing to take on any contract. He likes using traps and robots in elaborate settings, usually in a place called Murder World.
It's a bit like Disneyland, but with more knives and corpses.
Precisely. But before Johnny can flambe this bow-tie-wearing cretin, an old friend pops into the scene, dressed as a green-skinned and purple-clothed hippie. It's the Impossible Man!
Oh, goody, this guy.
The Impossible Man is a pop-upian from the planet Pop-Up. They are green-skinned and they wear purple clothes, and they can into any shape they want, limiting their appearance only to the 2 chosen colors.
This guy has been kicking around since Fantastic Four number 11 in 1962. He is pretty much a menace, always looking for fun or a game and not really understanding societal rules or the importance of personal property.
Still angry about how he stole the toilet paper in your house while you're using the bathroom, huh?
That's just not a cool thing to do.
Well, in this story, it appears that Impy and Arcade have teamed up for a lucrative new enterprise. Merchandising.
Wait a minute. The world's most annoying nerd who likes to create overly complicated murder castles is teaming up with the most annoying individual in the universe to sell toys?
That is their backstory.
I feel that there is another shoe that is about to drop here.
The toys are all based on the Impossible Man.
And?
Impossible Man has included a piece of himself in each toy.
For the love of Stanley.
But it's okay. Arcade has promised that he is done with murder and death traps.
I mean, come on, man. Nobody's buying that.
Good news, Johnny is giving him a massive side-eye, as do Franklin and Leech.
Creep.
Well, it's time for the toy launch, so Arcade gives a speech, and the Impossible Man does his best Superman, introducing all of the toys, including punching hands, action figures, and plushy head pillows, all based on Impy himself.
Meh.
You, sir, are not the target audience. The kids are, and they are going nuts.
Yeah, even Franklin wants the fist.
While Leech says,
Ed, hello.
And while the kids are getting ready to rampage, the Impossible Man cuts the ribbon, and Arcade mumbles something about a little death trap.
And with the flip of a switch, chaos reigns. The floor starts rumbling, which is the sign to Johnny to flame on. Arcade, rapidly pressing buttons, calls for more murder as the Fist and Plushie start attacking the Human Torch.
The Fist also slam poor Leech into a display of Lego.
Wham!
Now, Impossible Man, who is not evil, tries to reason with the murderous mercantile by pointing out that this is a breach of contract. But Arcade just launches the automated action figures at his partner.
Franklin has made it to Leech's side. The poor kid is knocked out. And that makes Franklin mad. Real mad. Super mad. And when you make a reality bender mad, things happen.
Like a giant stuffed purple fuzzy dinosaur coming to life and chomping on Arcade.
Yep, that's about right. Franklin also directs his uncle to burn all the toys, which he does in a spectacular fashion.
Now that everything has settled down, Impy takes a moment to loudly lament the destruction of his Horcruxes and the burning of his soul. But it was just another gag, because he has no soul.
I mean, extraterrestrial physiology, am I right?
Johnny and Impossible Man have a final moment where Johnny reminds his friend that they are not a supergroup and really not friends. And Impy laughs it off and says that's cute, and assures them that he will watch Arcade until the authorities arrive.
Can I just say that I would never, ever let that guy watch my lunch. Never mind let him be in charge of a supervillain.
Hey, it's Johnny Storm. I'm just impressed that he did not burn the building down. But I will tell you who is also impressed with the old Human Torch. Franklin and Leech.
Yeah, Johnny was really impressed with how Franklin took the lead, and the two kids joined Torchy in a rendition of Flame On!
Interlude New Earth.
Another 2-page spread with a robot getting awareness. Ted Castle updates his brain. Planet Ultron is built. A world mind is created. A guy waits. And Banner Jr. turns into La Maestro.
Well, jolly good fun.
Back in the Baxter Building.
Home of the Fighting Brains.
The Thing has been asked to join the discussion occurring with Reed and the Future Foundation.
As Val explains, the kids have been given a blank check for their first-class project. And while they had some nifty ideas, including mass energy conversion, food improvements, death rays, and self-cleaning bedrooms, the kids decided on a project a little closer to home.
The Moloids love the Grimm. He is the savior of the universe, and they wanted to honor the thing, and also to stick it to Reed for being a know-it-all. They decided to work on Ben Grimm becoming human again.
Wow. While it may not seem like much, this has been an issue since the first few issues of the Fantastic Four. While Reed, Sue, and Johnny have powers, they can also appear human. Ben is a giant orange rocky man. While there have been times he has reverted to human, Reed has never cracked the issue of making it stick, or of finding a way for him to turn off his powers.
This is not a joke for Ben. He is very sensitive about this. But as the Brain Trust explains, Reed has been tackling the problem from the wrong direction.
Are they trying to fix him from the butt?
No. The way Ben's power works is that being rocky is the normal setting for his body, and returning to human form would have been more like Johnny turning on his flames. Because this has not occurred, the rocky form has become more set.
So this is a good news, horrible news scenario. Fun time. Thanks for bringing me down, kids.
But wait, there's more. It's not a hopeless case, just a mostly hopeless one. The kids have devised a way for Ben to still alter to human form, but it will only be for a limited duration, with a long recovery time in between.
Needless to say, now is when Ben gets a little impatient, but Alex informs him that about once a year, he can be human for about a week.
And Ben takes it. It is not great, but that little vial will allow him to just be himself for a moment. And speaking of moments, let's have a moment to talk about the cover of this issue, with the themes of the issue. So, we have got this lovely, lovely cover, which is The Heroic Age. I promise I've given up games of murder. Fantastic Four. That's on the top of the cover. And the cover itself is, well, it's a cacophony, really.
It really is a great description of it. There's a lot going on with it.
There's a lot going on. Dead center, we got Johnny Storm flaming up for the world, and on the right-hand side of him, there's a TV screen with Arcade just laughing. And kind of on the left side, we see behind Johnny, we see Franklin. And he's like, oh, what's going on? And outside of that, there is toys attacking Johnny, and Johnny's flaming them to bits. There's a spaceship. There's a bear with claws jumping down. There are blocks. There's 2 twin Elizabethan-era dolls. There's a plastic army man. There's a big fat clown. There's just stuff attacking him. I like it.
It's pretty noisy, but it gives you the idea that Arcade is throwing everything he's got at an uncle and his wards.
Well, no, just a ward, because,
Just a ward. Yeah, why show
Leech? Come on now.
Why show Leech? You're a good point.
This is Alan Davis with inks by Mark Farmer, and I like it. I think it's you know what this one's about. Every time I kind of I kept thinking about, what's this issue about? I looked at the cover. Oh yeah, I remember what this issue's about.
Yeah, it does sum it up really pretty well. There's a bunch of toys and Arcade is trying to murder. Done.
Yeah. No, this is a lot of fun. I like this cover. It's good for what it is, and it gets us into the interior. So I'm gonna get one thing out of the way. It's the little bit of the elephant in the room with me. I am not a fan of the artwork in this book.
No, it's not great. It's passable, as in, yeah, I can tell what's going on, and I see the scenes you're drawing, and I get it. It does not jump out. It's very make weight work kind of thing. It's very passable. It's very make weight. It gets the job done. It is your Kirkland brand comic book artist. It's kind of the vibe that I'm getting off of it.
And here's the thing is that Neil Edwards has done a lot of other artwork. I think a lot of it's much better than this. I am not sure what's happening here because it just doesn't seem to really click. The big problem is that we have got a mess of kids in this issue. There's a lot of kids. And he just does not draw kids that well. And when they're at the toy store, we've got mobs of kids, and they're kind of frozen in place type of a thing. Every time you see the kids, they're not action. They're just kind of like mid-Polaroid picture snapshot, and not in a good way. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's never really organic feeling. It is very yeah, like you said, Polaroid picture kind of, can't really describe it. It's just not great.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of what's going on here is that even the action scenes, they don't seem movement. We aren't seeing as much movement in the action scenes as you normally see. And it's really hard to explain. But anyway, not a big fan of the art. The color and the pages that it's made on is really good. It's just the art just doesn't hold up to it. That's
Can't have everything.
Can't have everything.
Can't have everything.
But we can have Impossible Man in arcade. What is your thoughts on these two characters?
I always hate the Impossible Man, Mixelplix, whatever, Batmite, Imps, whatever they are. Just the things that kind of, Fool Killer would be a great example of this as well. It's characters that can come in and anything that can happen will happen and it doesn't matter. And it's just, I'm sure that artists enjoy it so that way they can do something cartoony and different, and no matter what they do, it's right. But there's usually very low stakes, because even in this one where it's just like, okay, Uncle Johnny, burn the toys, burn them to death, burn them to the bitterest of ashes, because each one has a bit of the Impossible Man in there. Oh, look at the lamentations and the tearing of the sackcloth that Impossible Man's doing. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. He doesn't care that bits of him just got torched. He doesn't care that his merchandise deal just fell apart. He's just like, whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
He moves on to the next fun thing. It's one of the reasons I kind of like Impossible Man. I don't go out to just, oh my God, I'll get all of his stories, but I never am offended when I read one. They are exactly what they are. They're fun, they're goofy, they're silly, they're cotton candy. There's no feeling to him at all.
There's no filler. It's all sweetness.
It's just all sweetness. It's all corn syrup. It's all floss. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've got no problem with that because I like to cut up the serious with the ridiculous, and the Impossible Man is that ridiculous.
That's true. Let's talk about Arcade now.
Okay.
I'm always great with Arcade. He's just ridiculous. He's a man that knows what he likes, and what he likes is making death traps. And if they succeed, hey, that's great. And if they don't, well, that's a shame. He's just a man that likes to make a murder room.
They never succeed, though. And I like Arcade too. But I have read tons of stuff with Arcade in it. I've read the Avengers story. I've read the Uncanny X-Men stories with Arcade. I've read Arcade in a bunch of different settings. I just want him to actually really be successful. But you also know that he can't be successful because if he is successful, then he has really killed somebody. And, you don't want that in your comic books, I guess.
Yep.
But it's just, he's got these grandiose things and he doesn't go through with them. And that's always frustrating for me because I'd like it to be better than it is. I like the elaborate Rube Goldberg designs of stuff. Those are cool. This is Arcade Light.
Yeah.
When Arcade shows up, I want it to be more. This is a little bit of a disappointing Arcade.
This was just him scratching an itch. This was him just like...
He animated toys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Impossible Man powers to attack Impossible Man and whoever just happened to be around. Because he was just like, I'm off murder, I'm off murder, I'm off murder. Well, maybe a little murder. Because even when he was just doing stuff, he's doing the business, he's doing the merchandising, he's promoting, he's hype manning, and then he's just like, I've got to push the button.
But you know what you do instead? Is you turn this giant building that's his big toy store. All of a sudden, walls come up, and it's a big escape room. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. You get back Murder World. He has Murder World in a toy store. Yes! I would have liked that a little bit more. That's just me.
That would have been neat. I do like the last interaction that I had with Arcade, which was he was hired by a venture capitalist group to kind of spice up a mall. So he made a mall, and he was just like, he grabbed Jubilee, and he's like, well, we'll see if Jubilee can survive this. Then a normal person ought to be able to survive it. But think of how exciting it would be if you got to get through a little death robot or something, and then you can get a really good sale on a TV. And the venture capitalists are like, what are you doing? He's like, what? This is nothing. This is tame. You wanted me to spice up your mall. I'm doing it. That's why I grabbed Jubilee. If she can survive, anybody can.
Yeah, like I said, I want just a little bit more. I always like a little bit more from my murder guy. Let's talk about the brains in this book, though, because we finally have the Future Foundation's first little assignment here. They've got an assignment, and they're going forward, and they got themselves an idea. What do you think about this idea? And what do you think about the first thing that they're going to work on. Did you like it?
I like that. I think that's neat. What's also cool on that is that I've read later Fantastic Four stuff where Grimm he's like, okay, he's married to Alicia Masters, or he's engaged to her or something, and it's just like his human form is coming up, and he's like, yeah, we're going to go on vacation, we're going to maybe start a family, this is my time, oh, this is great, I'm looking forward to it. Then in a mind controlled from the puppet master Hulk, and they got to fight, but man, that clock is ticking down, and Ben's starting to slough some rock, and he's fighting the Hulk, and he's just like, the fight goes as fight goes. He actually does defeat the Hulk, but he doesn't really win himself, and then he wakes up a week later as a rock, and he's just like, oh, I missed my vacation, my human time. We were going to work on starting a family. I was going to just sit down at a beach and drink Mai Tais and not be a freak. So it's neat to know the origins of that, because I was kind of like, I have no idea where this came from, and I'm not going to find out. But hey, I did a podcast, and now I know.
Yeah. It is cool because we find out a lot more things, too. This is the first thing we're seeing of these kids. And there's a lot of other stuff that's starting to come together, or starting to really come together. I finally caught up with going back to the beginning of Hickman's run and reading all the other stuff in between, so I can kind of give us a little bit more sense of the world that's being built here. And I thought I'd just take a moment to do that a little bit. There's been a warning that Reed has received that something bad's going to happen when you start dealing with 4 cities. And all of a sudden he realizes that he has 4 cities that he is now dealing with. There is an old Atlantean city that has been discovered. It was kind of frozen and hidden in some ice in the North Pole. And they discovered it, they opened it up, and there were 3 races of old Atlanteans that were living there, and that was the Kingdom of Old Atlantis. And so now, and Sue Richards kind of got it pulled in as an ambassador from there. That's where we have Vil and Wu coming from. They are the 2 fish kids that are part of the Future Foundation. The king from that old Atlantean world is given those 2 kids to the Future Foundation. There is some stuff coming up because Namor's got some questions, and they have some questions for Namor. That's coming up. We also have the Forever City. We got 4 Moloids that are kicking around with the the Future Foundation too. They all came from this Forever City that was High Evolutionary's idea of making a super smart race, and these Moloids got caught up in it. That's why they are very advanced Moloids. And in dealing with that city, there's one point in time where Ben Grimm went in there to try to deal with city, so he started becoming advanced, and he had this big rock cranium head. We're going to see that in the next issue as well.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. We also have the Inhumans. They have run across the Inhumans city up on the moon. And this is a bit different because all of a sudden there are these, I think it's 4 or 5 other races that also have come forward and said, hey, we also have some of the same DNA structure that the Inhumans have. And Black Bolt has actually got 5 wives because the queen of each one of these races is also one of his wives. And one of them we know, it's a chameleon. It's a group of the chameleons who are also there. So there's a chameleon queen who is one of Black Bolt's wives. So they have this city of this universal city up that the Inhumans have got. We also have something that Johnny messed up on. He accidentally opened up a portal into the negative zone, or he had a date. The date turned into a giant bug. She escaped into the negative zone. He tried to follow her to resolve this thing, and she started to free Annihilus. So Annihilus is starting to create his own city in the negative zone too. All of these things are brewing in the background. Plus, we also have this weird stuff going on with New World, and that's going to be coming up as well. Jonathan Hickman is setting up all these little things because there's a bunch of stuff that's happening and everything's starting to cross over, and yeah.
Hickman likes to set things up. He likes to have a lot of storylines available to him to go into at any point, which tends to be pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm giving some background on this because we are jumping in the middle of all this stuff, and we need to keep up with some of the stuff that's happening between the pages because it's all going to read into what the story is.
Yeah, and since we're skipping around and jumping forward, and yeah, we'll miss some stuff, so we need to talk about some stuff.
Yep. But that's enough of that malarkey and jargony and stuffy. I want to know some final thoughts. I want to know some gallery greatness. We got this brain room with all these smart people in it, and they like art up there, and so we gotta give them art to put up on their walls. So let's talk about some backup joke stuff. I am gonna go first. My backup joke one is Johnny, burn the toys. And on page 14, he does. It's Johnny Storm just burning toys. Burning the toys. I found it just being funny because it's Johnny burning toys. And really, it's a very simple picture. It's charred red stuff being burned.
It's good. It is good. The color palette is white to yellow to orange to a burnt red.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty great.
So that's my backup one. What do you got?
On the very last page, page 24 on Marvel Unlimited, I call it First One's Free.
Okay. Yep.
And this is the bottom half of the page. It is the very last panel, and that is Ben Grimm really eyeballing a glowing, bubbling green vial that some kid's hand is handed to him. So
try our drugs. Our drugs.
Hey, you're cool, right?
Yeah,
you want to get high? No, Towley, I don't. But you are a kid, so a child selling me drugs at the playground of their school is probably pretty legit. I just thought that was funny because just look at that lust and want in Ben's eyes.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it very much. It's a thing. It is a thing. My top joke one is on page 6, and I call this one Buy Our Stuff. Buy Our Stuff. And it's just the 3 panels of the stuff that they are selling. And we've got the punchy Impossible Man fists. We've got the smiling and creepy action figures. And we got the giant pillows of Impossible Man's head. Buy our stuff. I wouldn't buy... Okay, no, I'd buy the punching hands.
I didn't see anything here that I was really interested in, which is a shame because I love toys.
I like punching people, so I like the punching hands.
Okay, so that way you go, no, it's safe. They're impossible punch impossible.
Yeah, what you don't know is that I put impossible concrete in mine. All right, what's your top joke one?
You're one of those kind of fellows. My top joke one is on page 11, and I call it because it's all the children and their open faces screaming. This is right after Impossible Man's talked about all of his stuff and so good citizens, who wants one? And all these kids are just screaming, me! But they're just these
they're frightening.
They're frightening. Monstrous versions of children with their mouths open just screaming. And I could definitely hear just them just screaming or making a nice pod person noise.
It looks like they're in fear for their lives and running away from the burning fire that Johnny started.
Yes, exactly. As opposed to in the joy of their lives and running towards toys.
Yeah. So the top stuff here, I'm going to go to what I call page 13, and this is Super Imp versus the Mini Hymns.
Wow, that looks very familiar, as I call it. This is ridiculous, and I love it.
It is Impossible Man looking like Superman fighting himself, fighting a bunch of little hymns. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yep, it's a good baker's dozen of action figures of himself that he's fighting, and that's fairly stupid and ridiculous and sweet, and I love it.
That's what I want from Impossible Man stuff. Come on now. Come on.
It's what you want, and it's what you get, and it is wonderful for it.
I am going to go ahead and tell you my top one, and this is on page 18, and this is in the little interlude about New World, and we have the last panel, and it is the Maestro, if you please. Now, for those of you who don't know the Maestro is an advanced or older version of the Hulk. And this is the Hulk with kind of a balding pate of hair and a deep beard. And he is a very particular, smart and conniving and dangerous Hulk. He is the one who's had enough of everything, and he is the one who is going to be in charge. He is smart, he is strong, and he has zero weaknesses. Except maybe being a little too much ego.
There is the aspect that he's not wanting to be in charge to make things better. He is the captain of the Titanic as it is sinking, and you will show him the respect you show a captain.
He wants to make things better for him.
Yes.
And if it happens to be good for you too, meh.
Yeah, that's unlikely.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in charge. Do the stuff he wants. It's better for everybody if he's happy.
Mm-hmm. What is your top one, sir?
My top one is on Marvel Unlimited, page 17, and I call it Unmitigated Joy.
Okay.
This is when Artie and Leech and Johnny are leaving the burnt to a flinder toy store after they've killed all the toys and spanked all the arcades. There you go. You just have, it's Johnny just going, hey, now tell me who's your favorite hero again? Who's your favorite superhero? Because before they're like, Iron Man, Spider-Man. Now that, Johnny asks and the kids just jump up in the air and yell, flame on! It's just so great. It's just so great to see them so happy and just happy to be alive and kids and joyous and just excited about their uncle who's their favorite superhero. So pretty cool.
That is nice. That is nice. It would be even better if Johnny wasn't such a immature hothead. Ooh, immature hothead. That must be a rubber and glue moment. Jeff, what is the best or most childish insult? What is your backup one, sir?
My backup rubber and glue is on page 8 of Marvel Unlimited when Johnny and Arcade are talking, and Johnny's all, Arcade, you better have a good explanation for being here. Well, good boy, the building does have my name on the front of it, big letters. You should pick up reading. It helps avoid little book learning snafus like this.
Same. That's mine too.
Oh, Arcade.
It's a long burn, and it's a good burn. It's just like, hey, you're kind of an idiot. And I'm calling you an idiot.
My name's there.
It's right there. It's
here.
right there.
I'm like, you saw me behind the register selling toys. It's a me place.
We got that one in sync. I would bet money in my pocket that we're going to have the same one for our top. It's got to be. And I'm going to have you do it because you do the voice.
Is it on Marvel Unlimited page 6? Is it when the kids are about to leave with Uncle Johnny to the toy store from the Baxter building? And when Johnny's going, so tell me, what's the first on the shopping list? I hear Human Torch action figures are pretty choice. Web shooters! Repulsors.
No.
I'm never having kids.
I'm actually surprised that's not it. Mine
Really?
is a few pages further when Johnny is talking to Franklin and Leech, and they're talking about Arcade. And Johnny asks, what do you guys think? And Leech's answer is...
Creep.
Come on. Yeah. Come on. That is top tier right there.
Creep.
It is Leech throwing down.
Yep. Dude's shaky, Uncle Johnny.
That's fine. It is the creep from Leech. Come on.
Creep.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a great one. I just like the burn on Johnny from the kids. I just thought that was great when he's like, hey, obviously I'm your favorite hero, right? You're going to get some Johnny Storm action figures. Maybe Flame Fist action figure. Maybe Flying Foot on Fire action figure. Maybe a briquette set. I don't know. Something probably Human Torch related. And they're like, Spider-Man and Iron Man. Cool heroes, not you.
Let's talk about the obvious one here, and that is the Parent of the Year. And this is the issue where I came up with the idea for doing Parent of the Year. The Reed Richards Award for Good Parenting goes to Reed Richards.
Wait, let me guess. Is it, yeah, I know I promised to take you to the toy store, but I don't want to because something interesting happened with other children I'd rather spend time with. My firstborn child.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Let me go ahead and put you off to your Uncle Johnny. And you know what? Let me go ahead and let's double down on that. Let's also ignore Leech, who I have brought in to be your plaything. Let me ignore him too. Just for a topping on that cake.
He doesn't even acknowledge Leech. It's just, oh, hey, sport, you and you alone. I know I promised you, the only person that's a child in this room that I usually don't pay attention to. Yeah, bye.
Yeah.
Time to go talk to smart children. Oh, Reed, you terrible, terrible human.
Now, it's not always going to be this way, but we're also going to talk about popular and shunned. And the shunned, the worst character, is not always going to be the worst parent. But in this case, yes, it's going to be Reed. It's going to be Reed. Not only that, because we can add more to this, too. We also have Reed, and for to give him a little credit, he doesn't go off and cry in a corner, but he also gets owned by a room full of children that he brought together to come up with good ideas, and they say, yes, we're going to fix something that you've never been able to fix. And he even acknowledges, I don't know if I should be honored or upset about this.
I don't know if I should be impressed or upset.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, oh, you're gonna fix the thing that I haven't been able to fix in 40 years? Yeah, that's awesome. I was thinking maybe you'd solve hunger in a solar system or something, not this garbage.
Nah, we're going to fix one of your mistakes. Because you can't.
Yeah, I like it when Alex is talking to him. Here's where you made your mistakes. Is you were trying to do this, and that's not the answer. You're doing it. You're trying to fix the thing that isn't the problem. You need to break the thing that's fixed, is what you need to do, kind of thing.
Who is your most popular in this one? Who is the character who really stood out?
Old Blue Eyes himself, Frankie Richards. I'll give it to Frank.
Okay. All right, give it to Franklin.
Yep.
I am giving it to the other wonderful, wonderful boy, Leech. Can I just say, what a friend. He's a friend. What a friend.
Friend.
I mean, yes, Franklin went ahead and he did the right moves. He did everything. Leech is the Samwise Gamgee of the story. He is there for his friend. And he is there just to support, and be there and do cool things. And he called Arcade a creep. So for me, it is Leech. Any day, every day, all day long.
Leech is pretty wonderful. That is an excellent choice. We picked one of the kids, and they're both wonderful.
No, and I will say, too, that Franklin does do a good job of coming into his own as a leader. He did a good job of saying, I've got a plan, let's follow the plan, and everything's going to be okay.
And it did, yeah. And he turned a toy dinosaur into an arcade eating machine. He immediately was like, took charge of Johnny, who needs his hand held because he's not a real adult. And said, here's the do the thing. And he did. Johnny was impressed by it.
Yep. Top grades. We need to find out which issue is the best of the rest. We are starting with this list of the minor appearances of Power Pack. Starting with, of course, Wolverine and Katie and Uncanny X-Men number 205. Down at spot number 8, we have The Loners, Volume 1, number 1. This is where Maddie convinces Chris to hunt down a drug maker, because that's what she does. We have at spot number 15, Wolverine, Volume 2, number 37. That's where Wolverine is bouncing through time and visits the top of the list. That's what happens. And, of course, Loners, Volume number 1, number 3. Julie's in the hospital, and nothing really happens. This is above that. This is an okay story. My biggest problem with this is that the B plot is a lot more interesting than the A plot. And the artwork is very, very weak.
Yeah.
So there's cool setup here, but I don't know if it's great.
There's a lot of promise here, but yeah, it's not super great. It's not one that I really relish on reading. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of vibing around the War of Kings stuff.
Yeah, I'm right there as well. We have Loners number 6, the final issue of Loners. That's got a lot more in it than this.
Yeah, that was pretty chunk, though, too.
So I'm actually thinking right between Loners number 6 and Warhawk and War of Kings number 2. Yeah, I'm thinking right between 17 and 18. I think this is good number 18.
That's good. That's a good spot for it.
There's lots of cool stuff coming out of this, and I think we're going to like a lot of the stuff that follows this. It's just the art's subpar. It's a fun little outing, but the A plot's not consequential at all. The B plot promises some cool stuff, but it's not a lot. It's really the B plot. So, yeah.
It really is. It had Franklin in it, though, and I love me a little Franklin. He is an amazing boy. He's the bestest boy. He's still the bestest boy. I love Franklin. So having stories with him, I'm happy about. But yeah, it's still just, there wasn't a lot to shake with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed that Rick just took another sip of his beer and he's making a face and going, which I also have done. Looking at both of our glasses, I can tell that Rick has drank about 1 inch of his pint. I've drank about 2.5 inches because I've been forcing myself to while Rick had been talking about some stuff. But every time I mute my mic and make very, very, very sad, upset, angry faces. So Rick, what are you thinking of our beverage? Dishonorable Villain by Moonraker Brewing Company.
I am not pleased with this at all. Like I said before, this doesn't feel like a mistake. This feels very intentional.
Yes.
They're going for a specific flavor profile, but it is not enjoyable to me at all. Here's something else, too, I didn't mention. This is 10% ABV.
Okay, I like it for that.
But let me tell you, it's not an enjoyable ABV.
You know, that 10% is probably also not doing any favors because of the flavor.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the higher alcohol beers can get.
Yeah.
Which really starts kind of dragging away. We've had some ABVs, like 11, 12, 13s, that have been like, wow, that's really smooth and good. This one...
There ain't nothing smooth about it.
It's not. I, surprisingly, am not going to rank this very high. I'm going to be pretty honest. Is it drinkable? Yes, it is a beverage that is a fluid that you can ingest. Do you want to? We do not.
No.
I'm giving this a 1 for the simple fact that it is, in fact, a beer that you can drink.
Yeah, I'm joining you on that one island, and this is probably the lowest ranked beer that we have had ever. And we ranked a beer that we called Drinking a Tire Fire that is above this. And I think I could probably go back and drink that again because a tire fire was at least interesting. This is just a little painful. This is painful to drink.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
No.
There is a very distinct flavor profile that they leaned into very heavily, and it is not for us. It might be for somebody, like Rick has said, but it is not for me or him.
It is drinking sharpness, and it really assaults your tongue. It just... All right, we got to move on. We got to move on.
Yeah. Let's move on to something that's flavorful and fun and effervescent, like Kids Perspective. And that's where Rick talks to his 11-year-old daughter, Carrie, about the issue that we just covered. So, Rick and Carrie, take it away.
Hello, Carrie.
Hello, Daddy.
We are back to talk about Fantastic Four number 580. Is this one a little bit more fun than the last one?
It kind of is, because I understand some more things.
Okay, well, let's talk about the big thing here. What's going on with Franklin and Leech? Are they having fun? At the beginning of this issue, are they having fun?
They are bored.
What's supposed to be happening?
Aren't they supposed to, be at the toy store or something?
With who?
With Reed Richards.
Yep, and he is too busy to take his son and his friend to the toy store, right?
Yeah, which is... I understand it, but these guys need some, serious parenting skills. I understand they're busy, but don't they want to be a good example?
And who is Reed busy with?
His science class, just kidding, of his class.
Yeah, his science class. A bunch of other kids, right? He's too busy with other kids to spend time with his own son. Which
is honestly very hurtful. He is spending time with his daughter.
Yeah, so half a point there, I guess.
Yeah. His daughter with the advanced brain.
They are working on a project. But we have Franklin and Leech now with Johnny, and they're going to a toy store. What do you think about Arcade and the Impossible Man? You've seen the Impossible Man before, right?
I honestly don't really remember.
We had a conversation one time with my friend Al Sedano, and he showed us a Spider-Man book with the Impossible Man. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
You thought he was kind of silly there, right?
Yeah.
Is he silly here?
Still, yeah.
What do you think of Impossible Man?
But you said he's silly. Still.
What do you think about Arcade?
Kinda sucks, but he's there. He's a villain. He's the villain. That's literally all you need to know. Why, if Johnny saw Arcade, why didn't he just take the boys out and tell Impossible Man to keep an eye on things? And then go somewhere else.
Because he promised that he was good, and he was just trying to do something different, and Johnny gave him a chance. But Arcade's not good.
Yeah.
Arcade usually builds things called Murder World that are full of things that try to kill people.
I have had this one comic book where it's got Miss Marvel, Squirrel Girl, America Chavez. The main villain was Arcade.
Okay, so you are familiar with how he works.
Yeah, he's violent like any other villain.
Yeah, he is pretty violent. So what did you think about how this all played out, how the fight occurred? Who came up with the idea about how to stop it? Or who kind of got in charge and was able to end the violence?
Is it Franklin or something?
Yeah, it's Franklin. Franklin came up with the idea hey, Johnny burned the toys, and he animated a big purple dinosaur to go after Arcade. Yeah, they got it all wrapped up. Did you like this comic? Did you like the fight that was going on here?
That was okay.
What about the other part of the book? Reed ditched his kid so that he could talk with his new science class And what did they come up?
They came up with a nice gift for Thing, which I actually didn't know that this was a thing.
Well, that's a good point. Whereas Reed Richards and Sue Storm and Johnny Storm, they all have their powers. Sue can turn invisible. She has force fields. Johnny can turn flame on. He can use fire. Reed can stretch.
They all have control, and I
Right.
thought the Thing had control, but he just chooses not to do that.
Nope, he has always been stuck inside the big rocky form.
Which, that's kind of sad,
Yes,
honestly.
it is. That's been the major storyline for Ben Grimm for the entire run of the Fantastic Four, is he is stuck as this giant rocky thing. What's the first thing these kids do? They fix that problem. Well, sort of.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though. Like, Reed has never been able to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly, like, a bunch of kids are like, hey, we know what to do, and they fix him for, like, once a month or something, I don't know.
It's basically 1 week out of a year,
Yeah.
which is not great, but it's better than what it is, right?
Yeah.
So pretty nice way to end this issue. Kind of interesting to see what happens next, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions about this issue?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, Carrie.
You're welcome.
I love you.
Love you too.
Ah, now that cleanses the palate. Thank you, Carrie.
Shout out time! We like to recognize those listeners that take time to write in or leave us a review, and this is for episode 116, where we covered Wolverine number 37 and New Warriors annual number 1.
Al Sedano and his podcast Resurrections, and Adam Warlock and Thanos podcast.
Brenda Parsons.
Clinton Robeson and his podcasts Coffee and Comics and Fan Film Fridays.
Gene Hendricks.
Hoover Jeremiah and his show 4 Million Years Later.
Jeremy Daw.
Jeremy Wiggins.
June Brigman.
Max Traver.
Sean Wynn.
Tim Price, the Podcrasher, and his show The Outcasters.
And Zeb Oswalt. We also like to thank those fantastic people that give us money to do this show on our Patreon. Please be like them and join us. We got more comics that we review on there. We review all the alternate world stuff. It's a lot of fun. There's like a lot of content there. Check it out. And thank you very much to adorably astonishing and amazing Andrew Burns.
Cheerfully cheeky and charming Char Logan.
Challenging cheesy and chuckling Charles Gears.
Destructive and devastatingly delightful Damian Witter.
Dynamically dangerous and devious Doug Jones.
Exciting, energetic, and entertaining Edward Verocci.
Intelligent, interesting, and innovative Isaac Perry.
Jesting, joking, and jovial Jeff Polier.
Just jealous and jeweled Jeremy Daw.
Muscly, mighty, and meticulous Matthew Birdsey.
Mythical and magnificent monologuing Matthew Laserwitz.
Rudely rhyming and running Rustin Fritcher.
Steely, salty, and steamy Sailor Bear Zodar.
Sad and sickeningly silly Shag Matthews.
Strange and stirringly steady Stephen Gray.
Tyrannically terrifying and tame Tim Price.
Technically terrific and triumphant Todd Enoch.
Way wordy and wobbly Waffles.
Weird and wonderfully wacky Wind.
Next issue, we are going to skip some issues because Alex is not in them, so why bother? And we will be covering Fantastic Four, Volume 1, number 584.
Be sure to check out the other shows that we are on, including my wonderful monthly Monday movie muckabout on the Longbox Crusade Podcast Network.
And we have some merchandise available on Redbubble. Go to redbubble.com and search for Unpacking the Power of Power Pack.
Jeff and Rick Present is a bi-weekly self-produced podcast working in front of a live studio audience of one broken chair because I sat on it and apparently I am very heavy in Portland, Oregon. If you would like to interact with us through the magic of the internet, you can do so through Twitter at Jeff and Rick Present, our Facebook page, Jeff and Rick Present, our email address, jeffandrickpresent, all one word, at gmail.com, or at our website, jeffandrickpresent.wordpress.com. Also, our YouTube channel is at Jeff and Rick Present.
And if you would like to help support our show, we are on Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com, Jeff and Rick Present, all one word. We are also a proud supporter of the Hero Initiative, and we will be donating 10% of our Patreon donations to this great cause. We encourage everyone to give what they can to this worthwhile organization that helps the creators who provide us with such great content. Go to heroinitiative.org to find out more.
Please rate and review us wherever you can. Tell your friends about us or share your love for us on social media.
And as always, we want to thank the powerful people in our packs.
My wife Cindy and our daughter Carrie.
My fiancée Hillary and our daughter Aurora. We love you. Until next time, costumes off.
Our theme music is 80s Action by Kevin MacLeod. Also featured in this episode is The Zone by Sasha Ende. All music is found at incompetech.com and is licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license.
Let's distill the convo between the father and son. Let me do that again because the door closed.
Wham!
The world's most annoying nerd who likes to create overly complicated Myrtle Beach castles? Myrtle Beach sandcastles. How delightful.
Wham!
Arcade, rapidly pressing buttons, calls for more murder as the fists and Okay, get it all out. Yep, that's... Wow. Even a fifth. Okay, working on a sixth. Arcade, rapidly pushing... Arcade... Ooh, it pairs well with this beer, which means poorly. Oh, boy, howdy.
You know, you had her farting on you, dude. It's your fault.
Yeah, she's sitting on my lap, and so when you got a toot, you got a toot. Ain't that right?
Wham!
I mean, extraterrestrial physiology.
Wham!
My backup rubber and glue moment is on. My backup best... We're going to get it. I'm going to put the words together. I'm going to get past dishonorable Phil and Vunk.